Hey everyone, it's Barbara Teckle. Happy Tuesday, or I guess happy day, whatever day you're watching this video. I wanted to share with you a book that I just finished reading because I love books, I love to read, and I love to share books that, with others that really resonated for me. And perhaps they'll resonate for you, and they might call out to you that it's something that you want to read too. So, I do read a lot of spiritual books, a lot of books on personal transformation, empowerment, and metaphysical, oracles, animals, the list goes on and on. But I have a lot of different interests, and thank goodness there's a lot of different books to keep me busy and occupied. So, the book I want to share with you today is called Outrageous Openness, Letting the Divine, let me see if I'm saying that right, Letting the Divine Take the Lead by Tosha Silver. Now, I knew of Tosha for a while now. I actually have her oracle deck called the Wild Offering Oracle. Surprise, surprise, that I'd have an oracle deck. I love oracle decks, and my addiction to these as well as books is growing. So that's how I first learned about her, was from the oracle deck. So the more I worked with this deck, the more I fell in love with it, or fall in love with it, I guess I should say. I pick a card from it every week. And I knew I wanted to read this book, Outrageous Openness, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. So first of all, I did make some notes. This book really spoke to my heart. And as I read the book, I just felt so calm and so at peace reading this. And I thought, why don't we live in this way where we're just letting the divine take the lead? Now, that doesn't mean we don't have our work to do. We still have our work to do, and we still have to take action. But really learning to go with the flow more. And this is a theme of mine for quite a few years now, is learning to be in this flow of life. So this is why this book really spoke to me. And Tosha has all sorts of examples and stories. Some will make you laugh, some will make you think, about how she's constantly being reminded to just let go, and take her lead from the divine. And again, however you define divine, whether you say God, you say source, you say creator, spirit, whatever you say, for a long time, I really struggled with that, because I've never believed that God is this white man in the sky. But now I understand it personally for myself as this amazing, vast energy that is supporting us. So, however you define the divine, the divine, which I do like divine, that is kind of really sitting with me these days. So I might start saying divine in place of spirit. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So I have to first say that my favorite chapter in Outrageous Openness is called Seeing the World as You Are. And Tosha talks about her fear of spiders. And she tells a story about how she was at she was in India a couple of years ago, and she was at this fire ceremony. And this large spider, she said was the size of a kumquat. Now that's a pretty big spider, actually hurried across the top of her hand. And because she has a fear of spiders, which a lot of us do, she just swatted the spider away. And one of the Hindu priests was visibly upset that she had done this. And he said, "Why did you do that?" And he said, "Don't you know that that is Lakshmi herself, which is a goddess, a Hindu goddess, was giving you a private blessing?" And this just started Tosha on the journey of really thinking about that, how she had projected her own fears onto that spider. And so she offered a prayer to the divine, and she said, "Please help me heal this fear of spiders." And it was, I don't know if it was a couple of days later or a couple of weeks, she was going to bed one night and she noticed a golf ball sized spider on her wall in her bedroom. And she had the same panicky feelings as she did before, but she tried to calm down, and she thought, why don't I just talk to the spider? Call it crazy if you want. I don't think it's crazy. I mean, the more I know about animals and communicating with them, I don't think it's crazy at all. So she decided to talk to that spider, and she let the spider know, I'm afraid of you. I have a fear of spiders. But then she realized as she was talking to the spider that perhaps the spider was afraid of her too. Now, how often do we think that? We don't think that very often, do we? We just assume that we're the ones that have the fear, not thinking that animal might be afraid of us too. And when she had that perspective, it just really changed everything for her and it calmed her down. So she did end up going to bed that night after the spider crawled up the wall and went into a little corner of the room. And she said, it was so cute when she said this, that the spider tucked its little legs underneath and went to sleep. And so did she. And in the morning, the spider was gone. And then it was just a few days later. So this is all about when you just trust and you follow the flow and you trust that divine is taking care of you. That spider didn't harm her and everything worked out. Didn't crawl in her bed or anything. And it was a few days later that she got an email from a friend who had just written a story about arachnophobia, which we know as the fear of spiders, but it's also the fear of one's own power. And she thought, now, isn't that interesting? So when she had swatted that spider away, she was in essence in fear of her own power. But now she saw herself in the mirror image of that spider, and it just changed everything for her. Now she has this new respect for spiders. So that just really touched me to read that story that she shared. And originally the book was supposed to be called Outrageous Optimism, which is a pretty good title, I think, but she's initially self-published this book, and right before she went to publish it, she learned that title was already taken. So again, she trusted the divine, and within a couple of days, in a conversation she was having, it came to her that the title should have openness instead of optimism. And I really like that it turned out that way, and it was all part of the plan, obviously, right? Because, while we can be optimistic, I think when we allow ourselves just to be open to the flow of life, we just are able to experience so many other things we wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm really glad that, it ended up to be that title instead, because it just seems so much more fitting because, we can exhaust ourselves trying to make things happen in our lives, right? And what if we just started to let go more often? Maybe we just start with one day a week. Just take that day and just let go and just see what happens, right? I know the more I do it, the more at peace I am. Instead of struggling against the flow, is to try and to go with the flow. So I'm really glad I read this book because it's a reminder that it can be done. It actually absolutely can be done. So there's 3 quotes I want to share from the book that were very touching too. There was a part in the book where she writes about the metaphysical, and she says a strange metaphysical truth is that prosperity is never conditional upon the state of your bank account, but the state of your mind. Now just let that sink in. Prosperity is never conditional upon the state of your bank account, but your state of mind. It's so true, isn't it? And then there was another line in the book that says, she just never knew she could change inside. I really, really like this sentence because as a society, we just don't encourage that. We don't encourage taking time to be with our inner self. And this is where everything is going on, right? Is in our inner world. But we get so distracted by all the things in the outside world. And sometimes it's just something that we do so we don't have to look at the inner world. And some of us don't even realize that we can change that we can have a much more peaceful inner world. And then the other part in the book that I really appreciated as well was she said, at some point you have to free the inner hostage. No one else can storm the gates. You alone can finally break the barricades and just free you. I just love that because it's true. No matter what has happened in our lives, no matter what our past, wounding or hurts have been, we really do keep ourselves hostage, thinking that by living in fear or angst or frustration or anger, that that's going to make the past go away. But it doesn't work. You know, it's our responsibility to look at what that is about and then find a way to heal that, right? And I'm thinking about the card that I actually picked for the week from Tosha's Wild Offering Oracle. And I think it really speaks to that last passage I just shared with you, that, you know, only we can storm the gates to our own healing, and break free from, you know, keeping ourselves hostage. And the card that I had picked for the week, or I had pulled for the week, I should say, because I just pulled them at random, is feelings. And it says, emotions want to be felt. You really can't surrender something until you deeply feel it. Allow me, dear divine, to offer all emotions to you, feeling them fully so they can no longer hold me captive. And you know, if you've followed me on my Facebook page here for a while, and you know I'm working on a new book, I'm in the editing stage, yay! You know, this is something I write about. Is, you know, in 2018, I had to deal with a past wound that I really realized had a lot to do with keeping me from feeling that I was worthy, and I had to really work with that and bust through that, and feel every emotion to that, which honestly, it wasn't easy at times, but I'm so glad I took that journey, because I feel in such a different place these days than I did last year. And I know for me personally, I keep trying to live my life in this way, is to go with the flow, let the divine take the lead, and just be open to the experiences that life has to offer me. So if this sounds like a good book to you, you know, you might want to check it out. I get a lot of my books from the library because I read a lot, and I would go broke if I bought every book that I wanted to read, though honestly, I'm probably going to buy a copy of this book because there were so many good things in here that I definitely want to, you know, reflect on. And I love using books as oracles, and some days just opening to a page and seeing what the message is for me on that page, what stands out for me, and then maybe journaling with that for the day. So again, Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver. If you do read it and check it out, let me know. Let me know what you think. All right. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.